Welcome to a winning edition of First and 10 with Texas Wesleyan Rams head coach Joe Prud'homme. I'm Jimmy the St. Christopher. Rams had a huge halftime lead Saturday over Louisiana College at Farrington. Then they watched the Wildcats come out and score 17 unanswered, and they staved off the surge and ended up winning 56-39, rolling up over 600 yards of offense. Big story of the day, though, was Clint Epperson, 6 touchdowns running. He had come into the game with 6 touchdowns total, and he gained big yardage, 159 yards. Yeah. Coach, I know your line was banged up, dinged up, but so how special was that with the line banged up to get a guy 6 rushing touchdowns?
Oh, I think it was spectacular. I mean, the way he came out and just the way the offensive line reacted, the way they executed. You know, they came out with a different front that we hadn't seen before. The offensive line coach, Coach Townsend, Coach Johnson, and the whole staff, they just made adjustments. As they made adjustments, they were finding what, was working and found what was weak and just kept on hitting those spots. And Clint was really tough. He was breaking tackles and, running through arm tackles, running people over, running through them, running past them. Everybody says, man, he's a big physical back. Yeah, but he's fast too. He can roll. Ty Williams had a big day, but, Clint found the end zone a lot and just had a spectacular day. Offense rolled up, like you said, over 600 yards, and we were very, very efficient. So I was happy with how the offense played.
I know you said offensive coordinator Fran Johnson had never seen a player run for 6 touchdowns. Have you ever seen a guy run for 6?
One time, way back when I was at Nolan, back early in the, I want to say it was like 1999, Sean Dugan did the same thing for me, and it was 6. And it was pretty spectacular. And Fran said he'd never had one of his backs do that. And I said, well, you've never had Clint Epperson either, so now you do. And there you go. It was a great performance.
And the record for the Rams until Saturday was 4 by Nisby, Desmond Nisby, a couple of years ago.
Right. So, yeah, Nisby was a special back as well, and big physical guy. And I don't think he quite had the line that Clint does in front of him. Didn't have, wasn't a run-centric offense. So, he went and got it in the spread and did a great job with it. But, we really hang our hat on the run, and Clint he carried the mail, man. He did a great job, but, man, breaking tackles, and offensive line was opening some nice creases.
And a big day for receiver Collier Ricks, 8 grabs, 151 yards, and a TD. And we were talking about him in the booth. I mean, the strength of his hands and his length. He's 6'3", and he can out-jump anybody. I mean, he was covered by a 5'9" defensive back, and they put a 6'2" guy on him, and he was still out-jumping. So how special is it to see him be on?
Oh, Collier Ricks is a special receiver and just a special athlete. And, he's really takes a lot of pride in what he does. He had a bum ankle last week. He's injured. He just wasn't. He's probably 75-80%, and he felt much better this week. We saw the matchup. Dalton saw it. Coach Johnson. We just kept trying to go to him, and he made play after play after play. Like you said, man, his hands are so strong, and when he gets up in the air, I'm always going to bet on him. It's really rare I've ever seen anybody take the ball from him, and he's just so athletic and so coordinated. The ball's in the air. He's able to contort his body in different ways and make the grabs. And man, he made some big grabs to really spark us the other day, and to get us started. And the run game was spectacular, but here came Ricks. When we needed big plays, he made big plays. And that really, once you start having that kind of balance, it's tough on a defense. It's real tough on them.
And Drew Martin threw 3 passes, completed all of them, ran 4 times for 25 yards and a touchdown. Why'd you start him at quarterback?
We just had Dalton been late to a meeting or two, so it was time for somebody else to start. And plus, we wanted to see Drew anyway. Drew is very athletic. He has such a bright future, and he's been getting better and better in practice. His reads are getting better. His technique, his grasp of the offense. And Coach Johnson wanted to get him a look anyway, just to see what he would do. And so it just kind of worked out that way, and Drew took advantage of it. 2 drives, 2 touchdowns. I think he answered the bell in a big way.
Indeed. And LC, Louisiana College, had over 1,400 yards. As we said, they were down 35-7 at the half, 17 unanswered in the third. Do you think the reason for their surge was Sal Palermo coming in at quarterback for James Powell Jr.?
I think he helped that out a lot. But also, we had a couple of miscues on special teams that, you get a block punt and they get to go score. You get you hold them to a field goal, then you fumble the the ensuing kickoff, and then they get a touchdown, and then they, we run into the kicker. Now we're backed up. That's a big swing right there. I mean, that's a real big swing. That's a 17-point swing, or actually 14-point swing. But I thought he was a good spark for them. I thought he was really accurate. I thought he moved around well in the pocket, took advantage of some miscommunications on defense, and I thought it was a real impressive performance by him.
And A.J. Bob, who's usually dynamic on returns, on kickoff, he brought one out of the end zone and fumbled.
Right.
Did you or Tony McLean have a few words with old
We had
Mr.
a few
Bob?
words before. We just told him if it's you have to step. We wanted to be 1 yard deep. If you have to take any steps back, don't do it. But Bob's a competitor. Bob is an absolute competitor. Took the few steps back, came out, got it ripped. So you don't have to say a lot. You could go along the lines, I told you so, but you don't ever want to do that with an athlete, especially when he's had so much success. But yeah, we kind of let him know that wasn't what we wanted, and we just had to survive it. And we did, and Bob will learn from it. He'll bounce back, and next time we tell him don't, I expect he won't. So you just move on down the road with that deal.
And their kick returner, Mikhail Franklin, had going in, a lot of long returns. He had a 60-yard kickoff return in the second quarter that Cameron Brown stripped him and then caught the fumble. Have you ever seen that before?
That's the second one, last 2 games.
Did he
He
the
did
same
it.
thing?
Did it last week.
So
as
he
well.
stripped him and then went right to him?
Yep. So this is the second time he's done it, and he's just great at it. He did it against Langston, and early on, and that was part of the surge that we had. But yeah, it was a second time he's done it. He's done it, so it's not a fluke. The guy has a technique and does it very, very well. And that's a big play for a freshman. That's 2 big plays for him. So
I know we talked to Tony McLean last week about Franklin and those long returns. He had 154 in returns, but you feel you kind of contained him without him scoring a touchdown?
yeah, it was good. We held the touchdown. There wasn't a touchdown, so that was good. But he was very effective. I mean, he set up good field position for him, and he was definitely a factor in the game. If we don't strip him there, what happens? They have great field position again. So I was, we tried to contain him, kept him out of the end zone, but he was still a real effective returner.
The Rams made 14 penalties for 140 yards. I'm sure you had some words with that. How do you clean up those penalties, if that is even possible? Is that coachable?
Oh, yeah, I think so. It's going to be a point of emphasis. It was a point of emphasis in our team meeting yesterday. To me, we had 10 penalties that were completely uncalled for. Your offsides, your false starts, your unnecessary roughness, stuff like that is very controllable. If you get a holding call, you get you get a PI. Okay, those are technique type penalties. To me, we have to clean that up, and that'll be a huge focus for us this weekend. And during practice, you make it a point, and there's certain behavior modification techniques that we'll employ to get their attention. Yeah.
An old Georgia kid, Dylan Petway, with his mom. I don't think she was at the game, but I know listens religiously when
Right.
she can't get here. But 7 tackles, 3 TFLs, a sack, and a PBU. So he was typical Dylan Petway. Is he the leader of that strong defense?
He's one of them. Taekwondrick Connor's another one, and Chance Carroll are probably the 3 main ones. Adrian Johnson on the front. But I'd say Petway probably is a pretty consistent performer, gets things done the way he's supposed to. And his dad made it in for the game, so his dad's undefeated. He's come for 4 years, and every time he's come, we've won. So that's a good thing. But yeah, Petway's probably one of our most consistent guys.
And Von Dries LaFrance, I call him Frenchie. I don't
Yeah.
know if he will accept that name. But 7 tackles, 2 interceptions.
Yeah.
2 interceptions, right, and a PBU. How much has he improved?
Oh, he's come a long way. He was, when he started, he was kind of a second tier, even a third team type guy, and he's worked his way into a nickel package and worked his way into playing some corner, and he's just gotten better and better, and his technique is good, and pretty coachable, and makes plays, and made 2 big plays. We needed those interceptions the other day, and to really kind of stem their momentum, and Von Dries has really improved and come a long way from where he started, for sure.
And next coming up for the Rams, the second game of the homestand. Wow, we have 2 games at home in a row, and it's homecoming Saturday at Farrington Field. We'll hit the air at 1:45, we being myself and Brendan Snow and Jeremy Knorr producing back in Georgia. But they are 0-8, 0-6 in the SAC. They're coached by former Cowboy defensive great Greg Ellis. How do you see an 0-8 team coming in?
They've struggled. I mean, let's be honest, they've struggled. They have not been able to find a rhythm yet, have not been able to kind of find their identities, it looks like to me. Their consistency isn't there yet. They'll get down early, and it gets hard to come back from that. So our goal is to come out and start fast, which we have been starting fast. That's been a really good thing for us. But we want to put together a great second half. Thus, that's the main thing that we need to do. And we've come up short last 3 weeks on that. And that's something that we've, another point of emphasis that we have is to come out fast and just stay real consistent throughout the whole game. And but yeah, they've struggled to this point, but it's our job to hopefully make that continue. I mean,
now, would you say anything to the club of a possible trap game or taking a team lightly?
Of course.
That it's 0-8?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, every team comes in with the intention of winning, and they didn't come in and prepare to lose. I mean, it's not like you do that. And so yeah, they've got some athletes. They're very dynamic in spots. They can make us look bad and silly, and if we don't really play our techniques and do what we're good at. But you know, as long as we stay disciplined and play our game, we're going to be okay. If we get out of that and get out of that mindset, it could be a long day. I mean, you know, they're good enough to come out and beat us if we don't do what we're supposed to do. So we're going to focus on us as much as anything and try to fix some of our shortcomings. We got to be better in the third quarter. We got to do away with the penalties, and just have to execute at a high level. We've got to do it for 4 quarters. You know, we've been inconsistent at times, and that's something we want to fix.
And if you get the W on Saturday, you'll have 6 wins this season. And excluding the 2 forfeit games in the first season, that'll be more, actually it'll be 6 that you've had for the seasons after that, 18, 19, and 20. And of course, last year was only a 2-game season. Right. So how good does that feel to have as many wins in basically 3 and an 8th seasons?
You know, it feels good, but, you know, we feel like we left a lot of meat on the bone. We felt like we should have beat Langston. We felt like we, you know, could have beaten Ottawa. You know, Langston goes out and beats Ottawa this past weekend. So we could have been right in the middle of it and playing for first. But, no, it feels good. Don't get me wrong. It feels great to have won what we have at this point. But we always feel like there's a little more, you know, and that's a sign, I think, of a team that's on the verge of being great. I think we're a really good team right now. But on being on the verge of great is you don't accept any of those other, you know, consolations or those other things. You just got to go play and know that you can beat anybody if you really put your mind to it and you execute at a high level and create some, you know, good situations for yourself. But no, it feels great. It's a huge turnaround from where we were.
We'll go round up those steers on Saturday.
That's our goal. That's our goal.
And it'll be homecoming, as we said. We'll hit the air on ramsports.net at 1:45. You can do the Ram Zone at noon, 2 hours before kickoff in the east lot of Farrington. No alcohol or flames. And, of course, the traditional Rams walk now 20 minutes before, where you can join the Rams. They'll come out with all the flags in the world, including the Texas flag and the U.S. flag and the Texas Wesleyan flag. And they'll lead the team and then the fans walking behind them on the Rams walk. So that's 20 minutes before 2 o'clock on Saturday. So until then, we will talk to you on Saturday if we don't see you at the game. For Coach Joe Prud'homme, for our producer Kenneth Flowers, for Ricky Dotson, and Ryan Keating and Krista Pylant of the SID department here at Texas Wesleyan. Jimmy the Saint, Christopher saying, so long. We'll see you next time on 1st and 10.